Okay, this is Frankie. I'm at a media day in lovely Northport, Florida. The group was already talking when I first got here, so I just didn't want to interrupt and record, so I just started recording during the break. We heard from Earl Kimmel with the Herald. He was up there with some guy from Sarasota Magazine, another guy from the lovely Observer, and then a talk radio guy that's down here on talk radio on KDWradio.com. Never heard of them, but they're a real community radio. They're getting ready to fix their antenna and update it, and they'll be able to reach all the way up to northern Sarasota on an FM station. So, again, that is KDWradio.com, community radio station. Show you a little bit of the crowd.
I haven't signed up for
I have no idea what I'm going to speak about, since I actually forgot about this meeting until Mr. Scuggs called me and said, "Hey, Frank, you coming?" So we'll see what happens. I think I'm supposed to give a speech. I'm hoping I don't have to. I got answering questions primarily, so hopefully that's all I got to do. If not, we'll wing it. We'll make it through. So I'm going to try to get this adjusted. It should start up in just a few minutes. If you're in Northport and you're interested in the Legacy Trail, this at 11 o'clock today, there is an event. And if you go on my Scoop News page and click on the photos, you'll see it from Sarasota County, and it's an event where you have the opportunity to give your input on the Legacy Trail, on it extending down to Northport. Northporters did have a representative at the Venice meeting last night, which was your city councilwoman Persona, Vanessa. I always mess up her last name. She was there representing and advocating to move the trail to the north, advocating to have Northport, either city leaders or business leaders or some kind of representative on the committee for the Legacy Trail. And what else was she advocating? I got to tell you guys, she was really out there working hard for Northporters to ensure that you guys had a voice in regards to the Legacy Trail in the county. So that was a good thing. So when this event starts, it looks like there's only 3 of us left. The other 4, I think, have already left. I know Earl has left with the Herald Tribune. So. I think it's going to be starting up here soon in a second. Let me make sure you're positioning and everything. If you are, tomorrow I plan on doing Harvey Milk? I'm going to go up there and do some filming, going there with my wife and one of my daughters. Try to talk the other way. I don't think she's interested. I'll do a live shot from there, take some photos, and then maybe the flea market, because the flea market's right around the corner. So that's tomorrow in Sarasota. Also tomorrow in Sarasota, they got the Legacy Trail meeting there. The one that's happening here today at 11 in Northport will be taking place down in Sarasota. So if you can make that one. And I'm going to try to move this thing a little bit closer now. Let's see.
You know, it varies. I don't think now it matters too much, because it's linear. You know, I always say it's linear to you. So you go to your page and just scroll down and you see your post. It might go through his feed Friday at 5. It might go through his feed Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it lives for a long time. So my best advice is you're going to move Friday, say you want to get out or free. Even throw a post. Do a $10, throw a little change at it, you pick it out in the morning. Well, you post it first, let it gain organically.
I do see the shirt now. It's 97.5 FM for the radio station. That's a community radio for that website you just gave me. So I've never heard of them. I'm going to check them out.
You can shut it up. You can do $5. There's such a small amount.
Okay, if we can get in our seats, please.
And it'll kick out. It's so relative, you know, it's so,
What about the email to our
Oh, that's more strategic because that'll open up. Yeah, definitely like that Friday time. Okay. Yeah, like before we get off work, like 3:30, like 4:15. Everybody. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Hi. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I definitely.
Is that bad or a good thing?
Guess I need to sit my butt down.
Are we all?
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
We got the Italian connection here.
We're going to be speaking in Italian.
I see a lot of hand waving.
That's why we had to give you space.
They're all from different families.
Italians break more phones than anybody else, trust me.
Because they throw them when they're talking.
Did we lose some, or is everybody here? Please eat. Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I want to thank our guests, WKDW and RJ. I'm actually on the board, so you can thank me too. This is a great little facility. I hope everybody kind of learns about it and brings an event here kind of like this, or comes and listens to some great music. I hope you took from the very first segment that we had some of the things that these gentlemen were talking about, and I do apologize, there's no females on this panel either.
That's not good.
Well, I do know that, Melissa, you're really good at social. Get on up here.
No.
So, am I right in front of your camera now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. The first segment was all about what we call traditional media. This afternoon, we're going to get on the bus, and we're going to go to ABC7. We're going to tour the facility, so you're going to be able to see what TV is all about. We're getting ready to go to the Northport Sun. We're going to see a little bit about that. We're going to have a little exercise there about writing a press release. We're also going to tour iHeartRadio in Sarasota, so we're going to see a little bit more of a mainstream radio station. We have a lot of print, and we have one radio here. And one thing that really stuck with me when I'm listening to these gentlemen is talking about building relationships with them to get your message out. Okay, well, there's a new player in town that's called social media. I would rather you spend your time building relationships with people you do business with and let them get your message out. And that's one of the things that social media has allowed to happen. First time in history. We've been able to take something besides that over there, and we've been able to mass communicate without asking anybody anything. Okay, we don't have to ask a print publisher to get my message out and hope they get my message right. Okay, we don't have to ask a radio producer to get my message out. You can podcast almost every day. You can broadcast. You heard the gentleman say the spoken word is worth more than the written word. I don't know if I believe that, but I will tell you a video word where they can see and hear is worth more than any of it. This is now being allowed to. I'm an accountant by trade and education. I do very little accounting now because I'm a media company. Okay? Every one of you can build your own media company, and I don't mean not stopping what you're doing, but instead of relying upon others to get your message out, you can get your own message out. And these young men here, and I say that because I'm old, okay, can tell you exactly how they're tops in their field. We have Frankie Abbruzzino. There you go. And they're all Italian. Anthony DeNardis, and we have here Matt Antonucci.
Yeah, very good.
So,
I knew
they're all, yeah,
That sounded Greek.
DeNardis.
Yeah, that's actually
Nardisi.
Dinardis, you're right.
Dinardisi.
It's SSC. Right. My name is not the actually it is. She's right.
So I'm going to give them an opportunity. I've told them that they have some time. You know, we don't need to be down to Northport Sun for a while. So I'm going to let them tell you about what they do, how social media is really just changing the landscape and getting, whether you're with an organization or with a business, getting your message out. But I'll give them some time and I'll shut up. So take it away, Frankie.
Okay, just a little bit about Scoop. I do the Scoop News, and what got me started on that was I was trying to put everything together because there were so many different sites in the community, and it started down in Venice. Then somebody said, hey, Frankie, can you do this for Northport? I said, sure. And then someone said Sarasota, Inglewood, and I had 4, so I decided to combine them all. And that was about 8 years ago. Now, with all my, if you just look at Facebook alone, all my groups and pages, there's over 90,000 people. If you look at my website, my Twitter's accounts, my LinkedIn, and all Instagram, I have a reach of over 500,000 a week now. And we used to laugh because I do radio every once in a while. I'm not a huge fan of it because you're more of an insta-commercial guy, insta-commercial type person. You get out there trying to sell product, they don't really pay you. And I did it with Phil's gang and Donnie's gang over there, and I didn't like schlepping stuff, you know. I felt like I was constantly trying to sell instead of talking news or opining on something. So that's when I went off and I started doing my own thing where I do video reports. And I would do an hour-long show, but I felt you weren't keeping the interest of the people. So I started doing these road rants where I'll do like a 5-minute one, because you get their attention, you get it out, and you can break them up. So on my side, I do a lot of that. I got away from, I used to try to, what we call aggregate the news. And I stopped doing that because some people like the Observer, the Sun, they all threatened to sue you. And so I said, I'm not going to do that anymore, and I went straight to videos where they can't do anything to you. I would put one word in a sentence and they'd say, you're copyright. It's like, oh my God, give me a break, guys. And so I started putting out a lot more videos, a lot more news, and now when you go to my pages, you'll see a lot of stuff like community. Like yesterday I was posting about your Legacy Trail meeting up here at 11. I'll go out and I'll do a live filming at 11. I do a lot of live stuff. I try to cover stuff before, as it's happening or before it's going to occur so that you guys know about it. Because one thing that irritates me about news is they always cover it afterwards. It's like, well, if I would have known about that, I would have gone. So I try to cover it as it's happening. You get time to get down there. And I try to get all the news out. One thing that people don't understand is they go to the SNN or the Herald and they'll look for their Twitter feeds to get the news. And the secret is you go to the reporters, like they're old criminals, because they're tweeting out that information an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours before their station is. So I got all their Twitter feeds. I get the notification. I can spit it out within seconds, and everybody's coming to my page for the information. And that's why, like my website, I have, what, over 200,000 visits a month just on the videos and stuff, because we get that access, it's a lot quicker, you're a one-man operation, and I don't make any money, which sucks. That's actually a part-time thing I'm doing, which just started as a hobby, and now it's just so huge, man. But it's hard making money in the digital media world. So that's my story on the Scoop News.
One of the things that, and I'm going to get to Anthony, someone, and I forget who it was, asked a question, what can they do to bring Northport into some of what the traditional print media was doing? And they didn't have a good answer to me. I don't know. Are you asking if we should spend more time here? Well, we're the biggest city in Sarasota County. So yeah, probably is what we're asking. How can you bring Northport and this area into more mainstream news? Well, they're leaving a huge amount of what we call white space. Things that they're not doing that they're leaving for us to do. And that's white space. And so Frankie's filling white space, okay? And what we do and what Comcast does is filling white space, because traditional media is just either ignoring us or they're not paying attention to the biggest city in Sarasota County.
And you know, the good thing about it is too, like there was a guy that pulled out a 12-gauge shotgun on somebody here in Northport. I was the first person to put that up there. Well, every freaking politician out there, every police station out there, they all follow my page. All the newspaper reporters. When I went down to the jetty and somebody drowned, they're like, everyone says they're giving you info. They won't give us info. And so they go to my page first. And what those guys are doing is picking up my stories and running with them. Like WWSB ran a story yesterday about Sharkies saying we'll give you $100,000 towards a parking lot and we'll give you an interest-free loan. He got that off my page. I ran it before everybody else, and I know Chris goes there a lot, and they try to find that news. So that's where it's a good thing where we're there, because we're getting this info that they normally wouldn't cover. They're seeing a lot of interest on it based upon our hits, engagement, and all that stuff. And then they're saying, oh, that's a story, let us cover it.
Actually making a really good point. There's a difference between majority and the minority folks who are actually looking at it. So what he's saying is, majority of the people in town, or these towns surrounding, are watching our pages versus an ABC7, or versus a Northport Sun, or versus where it's coming. And why I'm saying that is because friends traditionally like to buy from friends, they trust friends. So looking at it from a social source, knowing if I don't believe in this, I literally can call him and he'll pick up the phone, not have to have lawyer after lawyer after lawyer to go through it. Sorry, Jay. But it actually matters. So for him, for not getting the credibility for maybe a city of Northport or someone else for that today is going to go away very, very soon. Trust me, because they're going to be coming to your page, they're going to follow you more. Yes, they'll pick up his source, but they got to check on it as well. So by the time they check on it, they validate it, they post it, it comes out. We already know. And then we say, oh, I've seen that. Well, I mean, how many times are you home and say, oh, I already saw that? Or some of your spouse will say, oh, did you hear this? Yeah, I heard it already. It's done.
And you know, it's amazing. I was at WSRQ doing a show. And everybody wanted to be on this guy's show, Donnie and Bob. They wanted to be on it. And we used to laugh because my engagement was 30, 40, 50 times higher than them, and they'll get more information. But everybody thought, radio station, I got to be on it. And it was a joke to us. And they ended up leaving because they're like, nobody's listening to us. We don't know how the station was making money.
I just mentioned, Jake, well, yeah, we're just talking about iHeart versus here. Jason, we're talking about that. And I believe when I hear someone come on live from this station, I will take that referral over an iHeart ad any day of the week, because it's my friends, it's volunteers, people who I know, people who sit on the board. It's the people here, so it matters to me more knowing, even if they're only paying $25 or $100, they're not paying that $1,500, that $2,500 where that announcer has to say that. And again, it's kind of going to that. When he reports something, he's boots on the ground, he's there, he's doing his work, he's doing the best he can, but he's cutting out that middle part, that legality, that headache, that tension in it, and he's giving his opinion. He's giving his opinion. Now, you can go on his comments, you can feed, you can put your opinion, but the accuracy of the story, I think, is declining. I think having to have that 100%, that gets vetted throughout a conversation. He fire starts. He gets it going. The bonfire happens after.
Yeah, and this is one key thing is news. Here's a fact. Says Francesco Abbruzzino, piece of paper. All of us will report that fact. Then you look in the opining. Everybody knows I'm a libertarian. I'm to the right. If I'm going to opine, it's probably going to have some right leanings. The difference is major media, MSM, will sit there and look at it and they'll opine, not telling everybody that they're progressives or they're to the left. And if you look at the headlines, I went through on my site one time and I looked at the headlines for the Herald, WWSB and everything. You couldn't believe how left-leaning they were, but people don't realize that. And when you're looking at the fact, you shouldn't say that you're nonpartisan, yet tell everyone you're nonpartisan, yet have left leanings. It's fine if you have left leanings, but let people know so they can formulate their own opinion on it.
I think that we've just seen it so much for the past 20, 30 years, we're just stuck believing that that's actually the truth. And now you all can emerge. You can have podcasts, you can have show, you're coming out with facts and stuff every other week. These videos matter. There's people that are watching them. And it's just an amazing change going on, we've been watching your page for years, just watching the growth of it and continue on. I hope it evolves to where it becomes that source where you're not getting that lawyer call, that call from Dick every 3 minutes. I mean, we've experienced that as well, and it's sort of like, well, it's opinion piece. It's an opinion piece. I'm entitled to that. That's my real estate. You don't have to be there, and that's something else that's beautiful too. You don't have to go to the page. You don't have to watch that. So it's like anything else. If Fox is playing something, you can switch it. But no one calls and gets a lawyer on them. But it happens on the local level, and I think there's a tension between the fear of the emergence of us being able to have that voice now versus the establishment trying to keep the voice, because there's billions of dollars. I mean, just the city alone, we can see how much marketing money there is. It's tremendous. We're talking hundreds of millions from Sarasota downward. It's about tons of money, and it's somewhere. There's never any new money, we always say. So just because you open a business in town, you open another branch, doesn't mean there's influx of dollars. You got to steal it from somebody. You move it. You got to not steal it. Jay's like, I'm not going to. No, but I'm saying, like, you have to pull. It's movement of money until the people come in. But that's a slow growth. That's a very slow growth. You know, they come in 3%, 4%. I mean, we might have a pop of 10% a year. That's tremendous. But you know, it is a slow growth. So there's a movement, a steady movement of money going around, and the establishment knows, and they have that. And you know, there's businesses like ours that just want to continue to expand, and we have all of these channels. I don't know if Rich told you about us, but we have multiple channels. We're in 3 states now. I mean, we're just expanding tremendously because of people buy from friends, because of we speak our truths and we try to stay as true as we can to it. I mean, really. And you know, another thing is passion. Jason and I were just talking about that as well. I mean, passion is major. You can really see the passion of the people if they love what they do. Like it's instant, it's just contagious. You can just tell. You sit down in a meeting and it's oozing out of their bodies. I know Jay and I, sometimes we have that. You sit in and we get all excited about passion comes out. I gotta say, I met a few reporters. Is there any reporters in here? I don't want to insult you, but I've met one that really has passion. That's Tim Ronca from he's NBC2. He's got signed in Tampa. And he's one guy that has a lot of passion. He loves what he does. But he's, you know, it's far and few where he's not looking at a vanity. It's more so
Well,
he's
this
trying to
is
get the true story.
controlled by the producers and their editors, publishers. I'll pass them stories and they're just too hard for them to cover. And they'll go out and cover a fluff piece, and it's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. Well, you know, and one of the things they talked about this, and Matt, we are going to get
That's like, hey.
That's like I'm Comcast. We're the establishment.
One of the things that they were talking about was, you know, clickbait on this new media and people trying to, and yes, you know, we're marketers as much as we are anything, and we absolutely want people to click onto what we do. We are a little different in that we're not going to use just generic clickbait to get you to click on. We want to tell the story because we want you to trust us. We want you to trust what we are saying. But that's happened since the beginning of print. You know, you remember watching movies and you'd have these.
I mean, the cover of a magazine is clickbait.
Yeah.
They are leading you in to read. So
everything is clickbait. Radio, they'll say, guess what? After this break, we're going to be talking about this.
Show has it, right?
So make sure you don't tune in to something else when you go on radio. News broadcasts, they're going to say, after this break. That's all clickbait. Just their version of it, to keep you there. And so, you know, it's not really changed. It's just the new technology. Social media, yes, there are people that will sit there and try to, you know, say something sensational just so you'll get it, and you'll click on and you'll find out it has nothing to do with what the headline was. Matt, he is with Comcast. Do you want to give us? I love all these Italian guys. So.
All right, thank you. So I think the important thing that we're talking about, especially as leaders in the market, and when you're talking about social media and video, to your point, is you really need to be able to establish your messaging out into the community and into your future customers. So anybody familiar with Simon Sinek? Mm-hmm. Okay, so he has a very good kind of golden circle rule that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So you want to put out your why and really what differentiates you across anybody else, that you're not actually just saying this is what I do and just leave the product on the end. You want to start with what your actual mission statement is, and as you two gentlemen explained, you have mission statements, you have what you're looking to do. So in order to differentiate across the market as an advertiser, which I'm going to kind of go back into where we're talking about that white space and where Comcast Spotlight fits in, and where I fit in. That's what we do. We actually connect you with your backyard. And really, I think the purpose of this conversation is how can you do that on your own? The first and foremost is your messaging. So video is going to be your most profound form of media, because I'd say 92% of all things that you're going to see advertising-wise, you're going to forget within 72 hours. 8% of it you're going to remember, and the reason is because it either connected to you emotionally or because you needed it. So what you try to do in your messaging is you got to fill that space and really hit that 8%. That's why you're going to remember those advertisements that made you laugh, made you cry, those type of things. So as you're building your message, that's what you look to do. So back to what Comcast Spotlight does, and a little bit of history about myself. I've been with Comcast about 5 years. I used to be on the customer service side of it. So all of the residents and anybody that had Comcast cable that was running into concerns and wanted to go to a store and yell at somebody, that was me. So I was about that quite a bit. So Port Charlotte on up to Sebring is the area that I covered. Then shortly after that, I moved into direct sales. So has anybody ever had their door knocked on? That was my team. So sorry about that. So I got a lot of perspective as to what the marketplace is saying against cable and those type of things. And we're talking about cord cutting. We're talking about new ways to get your messaging out. And when you're talking about social media and those elements, it's cutting through the clutter, creating a relationship with your clients and your target audience, and really developing that relationship. To the point before, the white space, a lot of times when you're doing traditional media, you're hitting a very large audience. You're not hitting the people that know you by name. You're not going to be getting your commercial across primarily to the people that say, hey, I went to high school with them, or I was able to really make a connection on that brand. What Comcast Spotlight does is we firmly believe that small businesses are the lifeblood of the economy, and what we do is we exist to level the playing field so you can compete and win against any size advertiser, any size competition. So what that means for Northport specifically, Venice specifically, Sarasota, we zone our targeting and our marketing. So I know it's a little contradictory towards the conversation that's happening towards you all doing grassroots and communicating outward, but it can be a segue to get you that way. So if you're thinking, I do want to have a very large social media presence, but I really don't know where to start, we could be a good partner for that. To say, okay, you know what, we can take your creative, meaning your commercial, your messaging from soup to nuts, from a 15-second commercial all the way up to a minute vignette, whatever you want to do, and really get your message across. You would be in the commercial. It could be your family in the commercial. It's not being overly scrutinized and limited as to what your message is, because then that contradicts our message. Because we want to connect you with your customers. And what we do, which is different, is we insert on up to 50 different networks. So when you're looking at HGTV, for example, Bravo, and you see local advertisement, that's us. So we actually take your message for a small business and insert on those platforms, and then also on digital platforms. And then what we can do with digital when we're talking about social media is you can have your creative linked directly to your social media page. So somebody sees your advertisement in banner video or right before they're watching AMC's Walking Dead or anything like that. If it's online, they can click it, go directly to your Facebook page, go directly to your Twitter feed. And that can be a real good start to get your social media momentum going. It's the most efficient and effective manner of video advertisement that we've seen when we're doing comparisons. If we're talking about your target demographic, we take your message, we take what you're looking to do, and we will create a plan to actually hit your target audience so there's no waste. So if you want to target men 55 plus that are likely to come into your establishment, we can do that with an extremely efficient product that will be very effective as well. And just to give you an idea, you can hit 85 to 90% of that target audience at least 20 times with your creative or your commercial or your messaging within 26 weeks, to a year. So it's a little bit different. This is more of what I would do, or what we would do at Comcast Spotlight, would be to partner with you as you journey to build up your media presence on your local social media scale. It does get you on to networks where we have an extremely high viewership. I mean, you have 77,000 homes in just this area between Venice and Northport that you'd specifically be targeting. Nothing would be going up to North Sarasota. Nothing's going down to Naples. You're really just owning your backyard. And then what we also look to do when you're thinking Comcast is a big name. It's kind of, it's a corporate entity. Comcast Spotlight's local. We partner with local businesses. That's what we focus on. So we have, the mom and pop pizza shop. and we also have some of the larger AC companies, you know, or anywhere in between, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bolster that marketplace and bolster the community. We also do Comcast Cares Day, so we give back to the community. It's the largest single corporate event of giving and time bonds here in the world. We just did that April 22nd. We do a lot of local Boys and Girls Club involvement in those type of things. So that's a broad overview of what we do.
Okay. One of the things that we're, and not to say anything about anyone, but we're trying to point out the fact that social media is a new way of kind of communicating with people. Some of the very interesting facts, ESPN in the first quarter of this year lost 750,000 subscribers. Meanwhile, during the same time period, Facebook went over 2 billion. Okay, they're the largest, obviously. Second is WhatsApp. Guess who owns WhatsApp? Facebook. Okay, guess who owns Instagram? Facebook. All right, so that's where the eyes are. There was an interesting article, and I do know that people are going to start switching. They're going to have to, or they're going to go away. Interesting article last year I read that millennials, and you know, those are the 25 to 40-year-olds. That's the age group, right? I'm so much older, I don't know which is.
I'm 38.
Is that it? Okay. So they are not only not buying TVs, they're getting rid of their TVs, or they're disconnecting, using them as a monitor
I don't even have one anymore.
by double digits a year.
We don't even.
By double digits a year, they are getting rid of the thing that traditional media usually comes through on. You ask the majority of millennials how many times they've read a newspaper in the last 6 years. And
You know, Facebook, Twitter, they have to go. Look at Twitter just signed a huge agreement. I think it's Bravo's going to be on it. There's NFL. It's going to be on it. I mean, they're live streaming right now. There's Bloomberg, Cheddar, and you can live stream in yourself. You can live stream directly to like the app. But these
With the Herald, the Observer,
Oh,
Sarasota
no.
Magazine,
No.
they can't stand me on Facebook. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
I'm getting threats of lawsuits. They're always coming after me, and they'll say that you're the fake news or whatever it is. And I think what it is it's become such a threat because now when you go in Venice, people say the scoop. They don't say the gondo. And I've gotten so far ahead of them on the social media standard that they've sort of dropped the ball, and so now they're viewing you as like the enemy. And it was somewhat, when I heard that working with you, I was like, I've never had that with those guys.
Oh, they're gonna, yeah, because we noticed they consult us now where they're leveraging our
Yeah,
platform.
and it's
So they're-
amazing if
they're
they
asking
would,
us-
I'd be willing to.
They're asking us, yeah.
But they
it's
don't,
just-
they view me as an enemy.
Yeah, this relationship.
well, and that's part of what is happening with the
Yeah.
revolution on social media. And I know that sounds like I'm 56
I mean,
years old. I can
any
remember
change.
3 television stations. This is like Star Trek to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, and that's the thing.
There's friction.
You really need to start riding that wave, because if you don't want to, you know, we've got various clients that will tell us, I'm not on Facebook. Okay, well, if you're trying to get your message to yourself, then don't go on Facebook, because you're not there. But if you're trying to get it to your customers or your influencers, you know, one of the things that Anthony is really big on is, and this is something that you need to understand, instead of having those guys in print media or traditional media being your influencer, getting your message out, it's so easy to get others. Everybody in this group should be everybody else's influencer. That's part of networking. So if you get to know each other and you start liking each other and you start building those relationships, then let them be your influencer. So when you put something out, John, on Facebook, Jay will share it. Jay's got 100,000 people following him.
We're tight.
Well, I know Ruth does, and Ruth will start putting it out. And that's the kind of influencers you want. Get away from the gatekeepers. Get away. I mean, you know, we are not scared to talk about how to do the secret sauce.
No. You know, no, we don't. And that, maybe some folks might take that as being aggressive, or you have, you know, like what he just said, we're upset or we're combative or I don't know, however we want to come across. It's just passion. It's where we know it's going to be. And what he said too, no disrespect at all, but he said a couple of things where I would love to debate it, and totally I'm disagreeing completely on a couple of things that he just stated. But he works for a company, they have a product, which is an outstanding product, but to say that you can target somebody from a TV, to know that that guy, he's 55 years old and he sat in front of that, maybe the account's in his daughter's name or his wife's name. How do they, they don't see through the screen. With social media, you see through the screen. It's a whole nother level of targeting.
And that's a great point.
And demo and really drilling down in strategic ads. And yeah, so there is debate, with the products, but they're all needed across the board. I mean, to have a good marketing plan. I mean, this is not, I don't think it's the venue for it, but there is a strategic, like just this here, it is a tremendous advantage by when you leverage it. It's just a matter of where you want to throw cost in. And then print is another thing I'll mention about print that just came out about that might it's pretty disturbing. I know we talked about it, which I'll speak about in a minute, but or whatever. But it is happening.
Yeah. So if I can, and he does bring up a really good point, and to go into the social media aspect and where the eyeballs are going, they are going digital. And, I mean, there's no denying that. So what we do is we target based on Nielsen, Scarsborough, and you're right.
Yeah.
You could be running a commercial. Nobody's gonna. You don't know if anybody's in there.
And and also you guys sell a product to get away from the commercial. It's TiVo or buy when you can record.
So, and that brings up the next point.
I'm sorry, I'm over
it's
okay.
It's all right because you're right.
We look at that. We look at that like
you're right. That's where the industry is going. And the thing that I like about Spotlight, and the reason I came over to it, and to be honest, it was a career choice for myself to go from the cable subscribing aspect of it. It was a 2% growth year over year when you're looking at Comcast, which is really kind of rare when you're looking at a corporation that's delivering that right now. But Spotlight's really focusing on screens across all media. So now you're inserting ads on your cell phone. You're inserting ads on the different sites, and that is trackable. So what we can do is we can validate through IP tracking if somebody's actually seen your advertising. So it is going that way.
It's retargeting. So
it's specific. It's specific where it's still going to be in the zone.
It's programmatic.
It's programmatic because it's TV edition, and then also we're inserting on, like Fox News, those type of things.
It is trackable.
We're getting it out there.
Depending on where the sites are, where they go. So that is a tool. Yeah, that's.
It's a tool, but
it is a tool.
The important thing that I also want to point out with it, and this is just for heating for anybody that's going to put video online, is there, and there's been some media about it, is you got to be careful where you're putting your messaging. Facebook, you own the content. You're putting it out there to your followers, your subscribers. It's a fantastic way to do that. LinkedIn, those type of things when you own it, because you're not having somebody else place it for you kind of willy-nilly. There's been a lot of conversation that, there's been ad placement, digital video ad placement that's being aligned with questionable content. So if anybody's ever seen those type of things. So all I would say is if you are going to do video media and you're going to subscribe and you're going to put it out there, just make sure that the sources and you know where it's going to be placed, that's verified content. So it's not contradictory to the message and the why that you want to put out there, and that's not an agenda for Comcast. It's just an overall viewpoint because you're putting a message out there. You don't know where it's going to end up.
The message can pop up on a website that's not as friendly as you want it to be.
Exactly.
So you gotta. That's programmatic, or that's caching. So with cookies, you go to one site, and then that ad that you ran with them will follow you around to everywhere you go. Like we were in our office, and I'm working on something, and an underwear ad popped up. Hanes, tidy whities. So I'm going around to our office. I'm like, who's shopping for you?
No, it was not.
Someone was on Amazon shopping for boxer briefs, and I'm like, get off of the ad, do it at home, or just do it on your phone. But someone on our Wi-Fi or on our network did that, and it cookied them and followed us around to all of us. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty funny. But yeah, you got to kind of watch where you go and how you do it. It's evolving. It's evolving very quickly. Comcast too. They were just in the news last night as well. They're making some pretty interesting steps and moves with AT&T and a couple of other things. So yeah, I could see some action happening out of them.
Yeah, and with the video content, and you're going to start seeing it that if you do want to do online video and you're not doing it through your own social media sources, there are now verified content providers that can do it. Comcast Spotlight is one of them, but there are others out there. I'm not just going to push Comcast Spotlight agenda. All I'm saying is that if you're going to put online video into different networks, kind of like the networks, just vet it out first. That way you're not kind of hurting your branding.
Oh, if you're gonna hit cable, yeah, go your way. I mean, because it's a vetted source, yeah. If you want to go that route, for sure.
Well, one of the reasons that I just felt so strong, and I will be the first to say, and that I don't believe our area is covered well by a newspaper or print. So, you know, I think there is a move toward it. You know, our age demographic here in Northport is 40 years old. Those are people that aren't reading newspapers. They're not listening to the 6 o'clock news. They're probably not listening to a lot of radio because they live stream. I mean, you know, they'll podcast or stream or something their music now. So, I mean, the traditional media sources are going. You have Frankie that is giving people 5-minute bites on news around the area or a particular story, and then they don't have to listen, you know, or listen to or wait for a 15-minute broadcast to get to his story. Or
I'm in really quick too. What he's saying too is the sources, the pages that we have, our local pages, our SL Newsroom, his page, The Scoop, those are free. We don't have anything that's posted on those pages. I'm going to tell you, it's not bought. It's not bought ads. We don't sell ad space on there. We put clients on it. We'll post stuff for different people, but it's not. We don't make money off of it as if a news station. They have to do that. So that's where he was saying with white space as well. We've entered a couple different things like printing. We're now a reseller printer. There's a printing, all right here. But we've entered the space, and the thing is, you know, we know the costs now of everything. He came, he works with us. It's Christian Young. He's 4.5 years in printing. He worked here in town. You guys probably seen him. And now he works with us. He's full time, and he taught us the ins and outs of it. And we know the pricing, and now we could offer it at such a discounted cost because it's not our bread and butter at all. We make no money on it. So with that, we don't have to make money on it. So with that being said, we can offer it to a client for such a deep discounted price. But businesses that sell print have left the white space open. And then we're taking heat for that. We feel guilty. I mean, there's a lot of things that most are going through. So there's projects we're not going to take on, but if a client asks, can I have some business cards? We're going to do it at the price that we get it at a resale. We have 5 different people who we work with. So those advantages really matter. And that's kind of what's happening where the news, it's not the source of having to drive dollars. And when you don't have that threatens those big companies to say, okay, now what? Now what happens?
Well, you know, the other issue with print too is the advertising. I open up, I never read a paper, and I went to a local hometown paper the other day, and 75% of it was ads. I'm like, how can you read this garbage? And then it was news that was 2 days old. And now people want that news. Somebody wanted to send me a video the other day, and I'm like, well, that's a day old. And they're like, yeah. And people, after like 5 hours of seeing the story on my paper, they don't want to hear about it anymore. It's old news. And print hasn't caught on to that yet. That whole concept.
No, they can. The thing is that they can. There's no reason why someone can't be boots on the ground going live stream on their social page. They've been vetted.
They could do social media like me. It's
a credible
easy.
source. They can. I don't know why they don't.
I'm amazed when I see their digital media, and I'm like, these guys they're paying someone $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, and I'm kicking their ass, and I get nothing. It's like, why? Just common stuff that they could do. And that's it. They got to go through their publishers, their editors. They got to go through all these different individuals. Where
it's bureaucracy from like 40 years ago that still takes effect to today. And today it's movement. It's fast. It's rapid. It's timely. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening. Like for us, like one of our whys, as he was saying, for us it's attention, underpriced. That's all I look at. He knows. I don't care. I don't care if Facebook explodes. I don't care if Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Comcast. I don't care if all this explodes, if the blimp is the new thing that everyone's staring at. Because guess what? Every client of ours, a big FGB, not saying it's a client, but big FGB, his logo is going to be on that blimp. I don't care where it goes. I don't get romantic. I just don't fall in love with any source. If it goes back to print, that's where we're going with our clients, period. You know, and it's underpriced attention, but historically, what's happening is, historically, it's like trying to chase a stock that is at a 2,000-week high. I doubt it's going to keep climbing, and if it does, I don't really care too much about it. It's very expensive to get an ad in the paper, $375 a week or whatever. It's very expensive to put a commercial on it because they're resources that have been around. They're established. They've been around. But at the same time, they're getting their legs chopped up and they're just going like this, and they're never lowering their price. I bet if he rolls out a commercial right now for $100, that'll be aired three times a day per week, everyone in this room will probably buy that because of the aesthetic. I can get on Comcast for $100 a week, and you'll air it 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. Yeah, and you produce it. Yes, it's only $100. Yes, a week. Yeah, I mean, that's a phenomenal deal. It has to come down. Right now, Facebook ad spend, I'm telling you, when we started, it was 4 cents a CPC, 4 cents, where we were able to run an ad, get likes, or get the engagement that we're looking for. I can't even break a quarter now, and that's my content being so stout, putting together a piece, a video, something that's so stout and so good, where it's just drawing a lot of eyes. I can't even get below a quarter. In 3 months, it's going to go to 49 cents. That's going to go to $1.12. A Google AdWord, if you wanted, the word beer, 10 years ago, it was a penny. Now it's $10. It's overpriced attention, and less attention's going on there. So with that being said, those formats have to come down. When they do, be first to market. Jump on those platforms. Jump over. If they come out with some special, my clients are going to hear about it. We're going to move. We're still going to do, but we're going to move. But right now, I mean, to not run Facebook ads like now is the biggest mistake you will make. I said to him on the phone, I regret not dumping exactly my words, $50,000 into Facebook ads in our branch of pages. I highly regret that, because we would be, without a doubt, the biggest source there is from Tampa downward, and we missed that. Now it's going to cost $100,000 to get where we have to, or $200,000. But yeah, I'm very passionate about that. I mean, that's just one smidgen of the ad spend where dollars should be going in marketing. But I'm just noticing a huge uptick. And when Coca-Cola, when Nike, and they start pouring in their billions, it's over. It's Google AdWords, $1.12 a click. Unless you want to spend, like Jay, for to get a client. Client might bring in $25,000 to your firm. It's worth spending $25. It's not as bad. So you can strategically target. There's different ways to do it, but it's starting to move. And social 2.0, 3.0 is happening. So if you're not on the train at the 1.0 level, if you haven't, you got to skip it. Just go right to the next. You have to move on that quick. Quick.
Right now both Amazon and Google have those little towers you can talk into, say. Alexa. I don't have one, as you can tell. Alexa, what's the weather? I can see in 5 years. People say, because she will tell you right now it's sunny outside, or it's so and so degrees, and it's this humidity or whatever. But I can see in 5 years they're going to have a hologram on that thing. You're never going to need to turn on the TV. You're going to say, what's happening in the world today? And in 30 seconds she's going to tell you, and that's all you're going to worry about.
Well, because I get up in the morning, it flash briefs for me, it does that, and I ran some tests, and I said, I need an air conditioning service. This is a tower, it talks to you. There's the Amazon Dot and all those kind of things. It talks to you, you can reorder stuff, and it's linked up to your accounts, but you can ask. If your air goes out and you wake up in the morning, from bed, you can say, I need air conditioning company near me. And it'll tell you who's SEO'd the most, who's social the most, who's used Yelp and has all the reviews, all that kind of stuff factors in to an algorithm, which we're working on heavily. We're getting deep into it, because I'm testing with clients of ours and who we're working with and locals that are coming up. Yours was one of them. That's Presto Ware, came in the top 3 for that. So it gave me those 3, and then it gives me the opportunity, then it says, do you want us to call Presto Ware? Yes. It'll actually link up, I don't know if you know that, but it'll link up to your cell, or it'll give you the number, or whatever it is, it'll allow you to contact them immediately. And that's by brushing your teeth. And then by the time then it schedules or whatever it is, but it's going to get more and more intense and more involved and connected, and that's the Internet of everything. It's Internet of Things. I call it Internet of Things, but I call it the Internet of everything. It's going to be voice activated. Everything's going to be just, I need this right now. And in my car, Bluetooth, I don't know if y'all have that, but the minute I get in my car, I'm noticing it's reading me at night. My battery died. I'm like, why is my battery low? Because my car is in the garage. It's reading my phone. It's still linked. It's Bluetooth, so I got to park it in the driveway down further. But she's listening. And then like Alexa, that blue little orb. I'm like, Alexa, turn off. Stop listening. I don't want to get conspiracy theory, but the thing is so weird that it all connects up. I get in my car. I just say his name. Call him. And it calls. That's just a start of what is going to happen. But it's only as good as the data that's in my phone. But soon it's going to be the data from other sources. It's not just going to be Yelp. It's not just going to be from a review. It's going to be everything encompassing. which is going to become the Internet of Things. So that's a whole nother class. Can I talk really quick about the news with the Postal Service?
Oh yeah, please do, because this is something that is going to be, I know we're getting more into marketing and maybe we shouldn't, but the biggest thing I want you guys to understand is the thing that I got from listening to the people up there early was they were the gatekeepers. If you want your message out, make friends with us, and then we'll decide if you're good enough to get out.
Oh, that's all you do is tag us.
And that aggravates me because you don't need to do that anymore. I mean, the city realized that. Why was the city dependent upon the paper getting their message out? They went and hired people. They have two internet.
They actually hired a reporter.
Yeah, you knew. I mean, Josh was a reporter. He now works for the city.
Well,
why? Because they are getting their message out via social media. They're not having to go through a gatekeeper. And that's what I want you as leaders to understand. The gatekeepers are gone if you don't require them. And the power's in your hands. If I'll sit up here and crow as loud as I can. One of the reasons we have a commissioner on our commission right now is because of social media. One of the reasons we have a president we have right now is because of social media. Okay, we backed and helped Chris Hanks get elected. He was not a virtual unknown. He was a complete unknown. He knew 10 people in this city. 2 of them sitting right here. He had 8 other people that he went to church with. That's all the people he knew in the whole city of Northport. And he got elected as commissioner, beating 2 sitting commissioners. And 1 was a mayor. 99% of that was due to social media. So you can't sit here and tell me social media doesn't have a huge impact, because he was outspent 40,000 to 7.
Well, I feel like the big distinction is just that, the barriers to entry are so low, and I think what you guys are doing is great. And as I watch you evolve, I wonder if there isn't a little bit more of a trajectory instead of any antagonism, in the sense that as you grow, as your usership grows, as your team grows, as your equipment grows, to a certain extent you become more traditional.
And that is exactly what I said in the beginning. We spend probably 80% of our time telling you the secret sauce. I have no qualms with you coming in.
It's actually always been, David, it's actually always been that way. It's traditional. It's just saying it where the eyes and ears are at, underpriced, and storytelling. Doing it in a little bit less invasive way. It's always been traditional. It's always way, like, if you want to sell your product, I want to sell my product. That's what I want to do. But it's just,
great job.
But it's telling it in like the way where we look at it. It's 2020 now. We have a thing called our 2020 plan. Where we're expanding outward and doing it. So yeah, it's going to come back to where it's traditional feeling or traditional sense of it, but no one can tell the difference between, did they do that free? Did they get it from somebody else, or did they get paid for it?
Yeah. Well,
I
think it's a key distinction, because if I go to Comcast, it costs more because of the production capacity that they have, and I think for the social media, someone off the street, anyone can do it, and of course you guys are all great examples of people that jumped into that focus and are now evolving. So a video that you do today or tomorrow is very different, clearly from what you started with. So I think as a community, we have a responsibility, to educate people that are using social media, so that we're not just creating more noise. Because of course you go where the attention is, but I think that the divide between traditional journalism, as evidenced by this whole Wiki Tribune topic. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. The founder of Wikipedia is fundraising to develop this new platform for what he's calling evidence-based journalism.
Right.
So it's really a hybridization of the social media, which is entirely open, as it should be.
Right.
And that the older school mentality of the highly sourced journalism. Mm-hmm. So I think, which is a good thing, and I guess my question for you guys is, do you feel like that's a positive influence that could potentially bring the camps together in a real positive way?
Yeah, I think we're going to have that, as I spoke about a year back, the interest-based versus the belief-based. So right now we have a lot of, it's interest-based people. We're all in the same room, so everyone said, all right, pick up your phones and like Jay's page. So now you liked his page, not because you need a lawyer, you love what he does or his product or who he is. It's interest. You're sitting in the same class. Belief-based is different. Belief-based is when you really believe in that product and you really follow. So again, I don't care about the numbers, how they go up. If there's 100,000, if there's 1 million people that are reaching or whatever, it's going to go to engagement. It's going to fall back to true, engagement of do these belief-based people, do they believe in what I'm saying? Do they believe in that message? And
right. And then the metrics are key because I think of the people that you see, whatever channel you pick, you go to Twitter, and with the obvious exception of big celebrities, you see someone, they have 10,000 followers, but they might be following 500,000 themselves. So I think to a certain extent, admittedly, like anything, there is a numbers game. So it's that balance between the authenticity, the messaging, and then the mechanics of how you grow your following.
That's what we look at every single day. I mean, that movement of it and how we do it. But there has to be a balance, and there has to be a little bit of the traditional flavor at this time, because if we lose that, no one who's used to those ads or used to the way that message is, they're not going to bite. That's too progressive. We've heard that. You guys are way too progressive. Okay, we come back. You guys are traditional. So we're like right in that. Like, where do we find that median? Which I think we hit our stride. So I think we found that bringing him in was the biggest, best thing that we can ever do. He's talented, that camera, but that's hitting that stride.
One of the
expansion and continue.
One of the things that we picked up on just this past Christmas season is that, and again, we keep going back to millennials, but that's the kind of the bread and butter of what everybody's trying to reach, because that's the earning base right now, and they have a lot of money. But this past Christmas, retailers found out that millennials were looking for experiential type gifts. They wanted the concert tickets. They wanted the passes to go somewhere. They didn't necessarily care about a pair of shoes as much. And that is what we try to do with our messages for you, or if we're helping someone, not give them the fact that Melissa can come out and do a inspection on your AC for $69. That's not what people are. That's what people are paying extra for Netflix to get away from that kind of advertising. But we did a short situation with her a year or so ago, where we made a character out of her tech, and he was what was
Tony the Magnificent.
Tony the Magnificent. So Tony would go out, and all of a sudden he would go and watch, and he'd fix it, and it was like boom. And he had a cape, and he had a hat, and he had a wand.
The video cut, yeah.
And it just created a fun atmosphere for something that's probably not worth looking at for the average person, somebody fixing an AC. But, or telling the backstory. I mean, we actually interviewed him and his wife, didn't we? But it was the backstory. That's what people want to see. They want the experience. They don't necessarily want the $69 price.
And it's a linear experience. Jay and I was talking about that. So when someone, like, if you go to our page, it's linear. You're going to see, you're going to go through, okay. These look like a bunch of ads. There's so much in the background. I'm telling you, we had a client that didn't understand what I was doing, and I showed him. He had 7,000 plus engagement over seven days. I'm talking engagements, likes, comments. I said, I'm working over 1,000 times a day. I'm talking to people on your page. Holy, I didn't know. So that's one aspect. The second thing is dark posting. It's running strategic ads. There's a lot of stuff in the back end which will target certain folks. We have things running right now. There's so many ads. I can blanket. I can bring it down. Pulp data. If you haven't gotten the pulp data, I know we talked a little bit about pulp data. There's so much now that it's linear, if you look at it in a sense. So if you go to our page and you go down, it has a traditional look, but there's so much behind the scenes. And basically, that's just our distribution. I can take anyone wants to put something on there, and I can reach and hit a demographic within an hour. It's that simple. It's that simple. But that's our distribution. I mean, we're a marketing business, marketing company. We strategically sit down and come up with ideas and bounce ideas off of.
Francesco, how have you seen social media change from when you first got into it till now? I mean, are the same things that were working 8 years ago working now?
No, you're always evolving and changing the way you're doing it. I think the biggest thing that I've seen coming out of social media is how print and MSM has changed how they're approaching you guys. And it seems like they're taking a lot of the stuff they see me doing and utilizing that same approach to get to the masses. You know, I haven't really changed that much on my stuff at all. It's basically sharing a lot of community. Ruth, she hasn't sent me stuff in a while, but she said, Josh.
Well, you've been ignoring me.
Oh!
You're getting so big now.
She wanted those Facebook posts.
Oh, she sends PDFs. I'm like, you gotta send
No,
JPEG.
it's good.
I'll send PDFs,
The,
screenshot and crop.
But you know, I think, you know, you still try to keep a local level and inject some of that news in there, but it really hasn't changed that much. I don't think it has.
We have just a couple minutes before we need to get on the bus,
Right.
Rich. So is there anyone else in the class that has any questions for you, gentlemen?
Matt, how has yours changed?
So, I mean, from the avenue of just cable, just in general, you know, it's media content's being absorbed completely different. And I think social media was a real big catalyst to that, because, I mean, if you really think about it, until Facebook really blew up, until, you know, we had the need for advancement in devices. So I think Facebook was a big contributor to that. I think the cell phones got more powerful. People started getting the tablets out. All that other stuff, I think the way that media is consumed in general is kind of a way to cater to the masses that are into social media. Apps in general. I mean, social media were some of the first apps that really were robust and heavily invested in. So with that, I think that changed the landscape of how content was introduced. So video now, seeing video on social media is normal, but it wasn't before social media, right? So it kind of created that whole aspect. And for Comcast and for Spotlight, from what I'm seeing is, you know, we're adapting to that avenue. On demand, you can go to, I got two small kids, I go to nickjr.com, or, you know, you're looking at the app, and now that's the way to look at media. They're absorbing media how they want, because they're used to being able to cater what they're seeing on Facebook. You don't want to see somebody's post, you unfollow them, right? So I think adjusting to the way that people watch, adjusting to the way people consume media, consume advertising, those type of things, that's really been how social media is affected. I think it's just moved the industry.
They have become more angry on Facebook, I can tell you that. Now, all social media, I don't monitor my feeds anymore because I get attacked so much, and I never comment publicly, but they're very angry. And I get people, I've had lately a few sexual predators, offenders, actually contact me, want to kill me, kick my butt, and I get that type of stuff all the time. And it's like, why isn't it just, you know, why can't you just come on, have a normal argument? But they're so angry. I'll go out in public and people will know who I am. They'll start calling me a Nazi. Why? Because I questioned you on something you're getting inaccurate. And
It's bringing out a voice. Yeah,
it's very angry. I don't
But
understand
I think it's like, one sense it's venting the country as a whole. I think, you know, in terms, I mean, we all go through these progressions, and I think it's just part of evolving. You know, change is tough. Who moved my cheese, man? My cheese is everywhere. I can't find that thing, but I'll tell you what, am I getting out of that maze? Well, I'm going to find it. But that's it. When that happens, everyone either they get upset, they don't adapt to it. You know, but for us, social media has changed. So I mean, it's changed a lot. Just the evolving from where it was to where it's going to where it's been. I think in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be strictly the content is what you put out. It's saturated. It's going to continue to get, and it's that one thing is what is really going to matter. But social media has changed for sure.
Absolutely, I think so. Any questions before we end this segment? I think what we're going to be doing is getting on this bus out here. We're going to head down to Northport.
Yeah, thank you. Don't forget to keep up with your critique sheets. If you didn't get yours, they're right here. Oh, sorry, kids. And yeah, we're going to get on the bus.
If you want anybody's card, please make sure to